worked here almost 100 years ago. No, actually 55 years ago. I was a kid in the mail sorting room, sorting parcels, not letters. You had to have special training to be a letter sorter.
I came to Australia in 1951 at the age of 19, and I spotted an advert for a temporary mail sorter for the Christmas rush.
My first job after finishing doing science at university was in the postal planning division of Australia Post in the GPO here.
I was 14 the first time I came in here. I mean, I was overwhelmed by the majesty of the building. It was quite famous, but I also had this overwhelming fear of what was going to happen because we honestly hadn't been told a thing about what we were supposed to do.
My office was actually in the first floor of the old sandstone building on the corner of Pitt Street and Martin Place, so I could actually look out the window and hear the band playing at lunchtime for the military celebrations and things of that nature.
I walked into this huge building, huge floor area, and we were told we would go up to the first bench that was given to us and that someone would come along with a great big bag of parcels and tip them onto the desk. The supreme piece of technology we had was a little roller. We were told to, as the parcels came rolling past us, we were to grab a parcel, bring the roller across it to postmark the parcel and then dump it down a hole. You'd just finish that, then someone else would come along with another great big bag and tip that on. There were thousands of parcels, and that's why we were employed, because it was the 12 days before Christmas, and you did that for 13 hours a day.
In the GPO, you had to go to a school to learn, and the school was about 8 to 10 weeks. You had to learn where all the mail went in New South Wales. Hi, I've just come from England. Know nothing about New South Wales.
But on this particular occasion, the guy actually came across to me and said, look, I think this is for you. And he had a canvas bag about that long. And I put my hand in and it was enormously heavy. I couldn't believe it. And it was a gold bar, a solid gold bar. I spent 5 minutes trying to work out why anyone would trust the Postal Service with what would have been thousands of dollars worth of precious metal. I still tell the story today.
I came to work at the GPO because it was school holidays. I would have been about 14 and keen to have pocket money.
I think the advice that my parents gave me was to get a job that would be secure, and of course nothing at that stage could have been more secure than working for the PNG.
The GPO had all sorts of groupings on different floors too, remember?
Yeah, there was the telegraphist on the fourth and
a whole room full of
whole
telephonists.
room full of people just thumping out telegrams and messages. And then there was another little alcove on the back where they were still typing out in Morse code. It was incredible just to see these blokes just convert dots and dashes to letters and words.
I worked at the International Exchange from 1964 to 1967, where I met Gloria.
I first started in the main trunk exchange, which was on the third floor of the GPO, which was calls within New South Wales.
I started in the then PMG, Postmaster General's Department, in 1954. They taught us to touch type, to do the Morse code and electricity, all that sort of thing.
I had my first day of training, and then we were taken into the exchange, shown the switchboards, what we'd be doing, where we would sit. It was answer calls with your plug, connect them to the right place on the switchboard.
It was very exciting, of course, because I just left school, so it was a whole new world.
We're on the fourth floor in the GPO, and we had our orientation day the first day, and we're standing outside these big brass and glass doors, and the instructor who we were with opened these doors, and the noise just hit you. It nearly knocked you over, this noise. It was unbelievable, because there was about 400 machines all going at the same time, including the Morse code, teleprinters, all that sort of thing.
When I started, I had no idea what phonograms really meant or what I was going to do. It must have been the telegrams, I guess, but we were to ring the people up and deliver the message over the phone.
I can remember a man and a woman were talking, and she was trying to say to him, "I love you." And he just wasn't picking it up with the interference on the line. And he said, "Say it again." And she said it about 3 times. So in the end, I went across the circuit and I said, "I love you." And he said, "Oh, thank you, operator. I love you too."
Well, most of the telegrams used to say happy birthday, and I was always a bit of a show-off, so rather than just reading out boring old happy birthday, I used to sing happy birthday to you, and I thought that was very funny.
Another radio telephone call was to Antarctica. Well, I never ever put the clock on for that. I just let them talk. They needed time to talk to their families because they were down there for 12 months.
You know, you did feel sorry for them. We were the only contact outside that they had.
The last Morse code message was sent on the 13th of December 1962. This is a photo of the message actually being transmitted. It was sent by a man named Harry Winchester. Harry retired that day and they gave Harry the honour of sending the very last Morse code message. There's a young bloke sitting down there in the whitish shirt. That's me. I was 24 years old at that time, just back from being married actually. So it's a very historical photo. I can actually nearly name every man in that photo.
I worked in staff pay. I gave Ian a pay rise as required. Just forgot to give him his back money and he wasn't very happy, so he rang up to complain.
And I've been paying for it ever since.
42 years of marriage and he's still paying.
One of the wonderful things about the GPO was its position in the city. It was literally at the heart of the city. It was staffed by basically two classes of people. There were youngsters like me and a lot of older hands. I remember one of them coming to me and saying, "It's a bit hot, do you feel like a drink?" I went with him and we went down to the basement. We went along a tunnel and out through a door, and lo and behold, we were in Angel Place, backing into Angel Place with the back doors of the Angel Hotel. And so Bert took me in there and we had a drink.
Over the years, I've come through the GPO building on numerous occasions. Sometimes I've visited the post office section that's still here, but other times I've walked through the foyer into the hotel and looked across and up at the magnificent stonework that you can see. And you realise that this building has been part of Sydney's history for so many years as a centrepiece of Sydney's architecture and history.
I was amazed at the number of tunnels that radiated out from underneath the GPO. And Bert told me mysteriously, "Oh yes, they go to all sorts of places." I never did ever determine where the other ones went to. But we used the one to Angel Place quite often in the summertime.
It's interesting just to see the difference in the facades. I'm glad they've kept the old facade in the Martin Place side of the building, but the facade on the inside is good. It just brings back memories of what the building was like, the old building, and then you've got this contrasting style with the modern new building that's gone up.
I was very impressed with the building because of the beautiful stonework. It's lovely to come into the building. It really has a heritage, lovely feel to it, and it really is quite lovely. It's exciting to come back.
I think it's great that it's being cleaned, that the Fullerton group are actually looking after it, because we have this horrible habit in Sydney of knocking down our beautiful old buildings and replacing them with ugly skyscrapers, so it's great that it's being looked after.
Coming back today to the GPO building, I walked along the colonnade and it was just like when I first arrived in Sydney.
My years at the GPO were wonderful. I was here for 16 years and I just loved every minute of it.
As I walked through the building today and up the grand staircase from the colonnades, I thought what stories this building could tell. Not only stories, but what were the stories that came through the building, with telegrams, with letters, with cards, that all form part of the social fabric of the country that we're part of.